Jay in Missouri, who wants to talk about biblical accuracy.
Got another
All right,
Jay.
We don't have a lot of time. Hit it.
All right. Yeah, I got one question though. You said matter can't be created. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's the first law of thermodynamics is energy, matter cannot be created or destroyed. Yeah.
So when evolution started, that wasn't created? That wasn't created?
No, evolution has nothing to do with the creation of matter. Evolution is how life changes through reproduction.
And evolution is a theory, correct?
Yes, just like gravity, plate tectonics, atoms, cells, and germs. Yes.
Okay. Have they tried to create this Big Bang Theory before?
I don't understand what you mean. Create a Big Bang Theory? What do you mean?
Yeah. Haven't they tried to reproduce, just to do the same thing multiple times and failed?
They have tried to replicate. They have tried to replicate abiogenesis, which is the beginning of life from non-life, and we have a tremendous amount of evidence for that. The Big Bang has never been tried to be recreated. That wouldn't make any sense, but we do have a tremendous amount of evidence for that as well.
So non-life cannot come from, you can't make a rock turn into a living human being, correct?
No, and no one's arguing that you can.
No, actually you are. What is your, what is your, people, that
abiogenesis does not say that life comes from a rock. That is not what abiogenesis says.
So what is your version of the Big Bang Theory?
I don't have a version of it. My understanding of the Big Bang Theory is what the evidence shows, that about 13.8 billion years ago, all matter and space were condensed down into a singularity, into a tiny, tiny, tiny point. And when that started expanding, that was also the beginning of time. That's why I really hate the term Big Bang Theory, because it gives this ridiculous idea of like an explosion in space from which all life sprung. I much prefer the word everywhere stretch, because it's a lot more simplistic and it makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with what Einstein's theory of relativity was?
Absolutely. Einstein's theory of relativity, both special and general, play a huge part in our understanding of the Big Bang. Yes.
Okay, but you've never seen life come from non-life, correct?
No, I've never seen that happen, but I have seen a tremendous amount of evidence showing that it is possible.
So you have blind faith saying that non-life can come from non-life.
No, we have.
You didn't hear the part that I just said about how I have a tremendous amount of evidence showing that it's possible.
No, you did. You just said non-life can't come from life. Non-life can't come to life.
I never said that. Correct? I said that matter can't be created or destroyed.
Same thing. Same thing.
No, how is that not the same thing?
No.
You said non-life can't make life. That would mean matter becoming living matter. I never said that matter can be created from nothing. I never said that matter can be destroyed. I said that matter that isn't alive can become matter that is alive, because that's what the evidence leads me to understand.
What evidence is that?
Well, for starters, the Urey-Miller experiment, probably the most famous one. A couple of biochemists from here in America, Stanley Urey and Harold Miller, back in the 1950s, took all of the chemicals you expect to find on a fledgling planet, things that you would expect to find on any, early planet, put them in a jar, got them hot, got them cold, zapped them with electricity over and over and over in order to simulate natural weather patterns. And these chemicals, these simple inorganic molecules, self-assembled into complex organic molecules like amino acids. So this is showing chemical evolution, the chemicals of life forming by themselves. Not to mention the fact that we find amino acids on asteroids in space.
They were forming with created different gases and different amoebas or whatever. I don't know exactly.
They were forming from gases and chemicals that we find literally everywhere all over the universe, undergoing very natural processes under remarkably mundane conditions.
Where did they come from?
In that experiment, or where did the chemicals come from that made life?
Where did the gases come from? Where did the things that they used to make the electricity, where did that come from?
So if you're talking about what the experiment itself was trying to recreate, they were recreating natural processes that you find here on the Earth.
Where did it come from, bud?
Electricity comes from ions in the clouds, atoms rubbing together and exchanging electrons. That's where electricity comes from in the sky, and that's what they were using to simulate electricity.
Yeah, nothing created these gases, and nothing created the instruments that these scientists use to make electricity.
The only people who use the word nothing in regards to the universe coming into being are theists. I have never heard a scientist refer to nothing except for Lawrence Krauss when he was trying to explain what nothing might possibly be and how you could get as close to nothing as possible and you'd still have the quantum foam running around loose.
Yeah, he's also a cosmologist, so that's his whole job, is to explain that. Yeah, so it's very, very different.
So, yeah, and so at no point can you claim that either Forrest or myself or any scientist I've ever heard of say that something came from nothing, because that is, I can't find a scientist who's, except for Lawrence Krauss, who's really willing to define exactly what nothing could possibly be. So we don't even know what nothing is. So stop using the word nothing, because you're not getting anywhere and you're failing to understand this because you're stuck on it.
Nothing created the world. Nothing created intelligent minds. And nothing created the atmosphere. Nothing created the trees that clean the carbon dioxide.
Hold on, you've got several different things here. You've got several different things you just said. Gravity created the Earth, and the atmosphere was held on by the magnetosphere, which is also a part of that whole gravity thing, because these heavier elements like iron and nickel sank to the core and made a liquid core that's producing a magnetosphere. Trees are the results of evolution. They've been around since the Carboniferous period. Like we have evidence for all of these things. It's not like they all just poofed into existence. This is a long process that obeys very, very basic laws of chemistry and physics. It's not magic.
But you've never seen it, correct? Happen before, right?
So just really quick, if you go to a murder trial, do you say, I never saw him murder anybody, so I guess I can't convict him? Or do you say, hey, this is what the evidence suggests, this is what I'm going to go with?
But you've never seen a monkey turn into a human being. But
answer the question. Answer the question.
So answer what I just said, please. If you're on trial for murder, do you expect the people to say, I never saw him commit murder, so I don't care? Or do you expect them to say, here's the evidence, he was in the right place at the right time, we have video camera footage, we have footprints, we have motive, whatever, so this is our conclusion?
Right, and you have never seen a amoeba turn into a fish, correct?
So again, do you have to watch someone murder somebody to convict them of murder, or can you use evidence?
You've never seen it. You've never seen it.
I'm going to say it again. We're going to answer this question if it kills you, dude. If you're trying someone for murder, do you have to watch them murder somebody, or can you use the evidence to convict them?
What is the evidence? I just want.
That's what I'm asking. Do you have to watch a murder happen to know that it happened, or can you go off of evidence to know that it happened? How do you expect a criminal trial to work?
What is the evidence an amoeba turn into a fish?
I'm not going to move on until you answer the question. If you are on a murder trial, do you use evidence, or do you just say, I never saw it?
Yeah. Give me the evidence.
So you agree that I don't have to watch an amoeba turn into a person. I just need evidence, right?
Oh, what is the evidence? That's all I want to know.
Yes or no? Do you agree that we don't have to watch evolution happen? We just need evidence.
Third time I said, give me the evidence.
You keep saying, give me the evidence. I'm not convinced that if I give you the evidence, you're going to say anything besides you didn't watch it happen.
Fourth time I said, give me the evidence.
Dude, I'm asking you a direct question. Would you accept evidence or not? And then I will happily start talking about it.
Fourth time, yes, I would. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Great. That's all I needed. So now that we agree that evidence works and is important, here's some of the evidence that we have. First of all, like I said a minute ago, we found amino acids, building blocks of living tissue on asteroids in space. Okay, these things clearly form by natural processes. So We
What
we
did they
can
turn it-
put to bed. Excuse me. You asked me for evidence. I am giving it to you. Okay. Clearly, complex organic molecules that are necessary for creating life can form by natural processes. And clearly, those complex organic molecules do the exact same things that they do inside of a living organism by obeying the most basic laws of chemistry and physics. We can do this in a jar, in a laboratory. We can do all of this, okay? So we now see that these chemicals can come from very humble beginnings. We now see that they can do really complicated things all on their own. While we have never watched these chemicals magically just turn into a living thing, we don't have to, because we've seen all the steps along the way except for that one. Now, as far as evolution is concerned specifically, because that is my specialty, we have actually observed evolution, yes, number one. We also have several lines of evidence, not limited to the fossil record, where we can literally watch these fossil organisms change from simple forms to more complex forms. We have embryology, where we can watch these things, go through these same motions. We have genetic records, where we can build phylogenetic trees based on the genetics that different organisms have. We have several lines of evidence that all point to the same answer. So even if we couldn't watch evolution happen, which we can, we would still have more than enough evidence to understand that it happened. And as far as like how planets and things form like that, that's all astrobiology, and that's not difficult either.
Okay. Let me ask you one more question. Simple question.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you was wrong and you led all the people you're listening to burning hell? How would you feel?
That's an amazing question. I'm genuinely glad that you asked it. First of all, me personally, I would feel good about the fact that I taught the truth as best as I understood the truth, and I wasn't led astray or convinced by threats of burning hell. And that brings me to the second thing. Even if you could prove to me, proof positive that your God was real and that this hell was real, I would still be right here saying that you have no good reason to worship such a monster that would torture people for just not believing in him. That's an awful, evil thing to do, and I would never want to be subject to a God like that.
Hey, you know what? I guarantee you one thing: we will find out, and I guarantee you this.
Yeah, the famous last words of every theist who loses an argument with us is, "We'll all find out in hell." And you still haven't proven hell, so you have a good Sunday, and we'll talk to you later, Jay. Have fun. Bye. Well, that wraps up this episode of Atheist Experience. Some really, really good calls, and one last final contentious one.
It was a fun one, man.
Yeah. So,
I am glad that we got that in there, because that really is the crux of the argument, is do what I say or I'll hurt you. I love my fiance so much that if I thought she didn't love me back, I'd lock her in the basement and set her on fire. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that a loving, kind, glorious? Oh, aren't I darling?
Love, yeah, love me.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's all unconditional. Yeah. Then there's the whole, Jesus saying "eat me," and some people taking it a little too literally. So.